Alrighty, guys, welcome back. It's your boy EQ, and up next we have Poetic Flacco claiming Kendrick Lamar and the West Coast just sold us out to the white man, and that this recent botting lawsuit naming Drake is being funded and bought by UMG. And fam, you are a buffoon. Attorneys take cases all the time without upfront payment, especially a case like this. A case like this is obviously going to grab a lot of headlines. And it's not like lawyers can't get paid without taking initial payment upfront, because they're obviously going to take a sizable cut from any court winnings, man. It's just how it works. It's pretty simple, actually. And Drake isn't even a defendant. He's just being named in it. Just like how Kendrick Lamar wasn't actually a defendant in that UMG defamation suit, no matter how much the cult of the opioids wants to spin that narrative. In Drake stands, the botting allegations have followed Drake for quite some time now, and I hate to break it to the casual listeners, as a producer in the industry speaking firsthand from experience, everyone is honestly botting at some point. Some people are just way more egregious with it. And even before botting or streaming farms was a thing, some labels would actually put some of that budget to the side to buy physical copies first week, basically doing the same thing that they're doing now. Whether it's Flacco or What's the Dirt, a lot of these people speak on the industry as if their knowledge was rooted in any actual experience or even just a few minutes of basic research, because your questions would be answered that quickly. But no, it's just erroneous, emotionally charged ramblings with them crashing out on anyone that calls out their baseless talking points. But enough dilly-dallying, let's jump right into the video where we have Poetic Flacco claiming that Kendrick Lamar and the West Coast just sold us out to the white man, and that this recent botting lawsuit naming Drake is being funded and bought by UMG. And the smug face on this dude, he actually thinks he's cooking, guys. And we're actually going to be looking at a few of the excerpts from the documents from that lawsuit too as well, guys, to get even more context on all this.
You West Coast dudes need to be embarrassed of yourselves, man. This is sick, man. Must y'all be sellouts all your lives?
Who is selling out? I don't even understand the Kendrick Lamar nor the West Coast connection, other than the fact that it's a West Coast rapper that is filing the suit, guys. And doesn't this dude stay in LA, man? The way he talks about LA and the people in LA is always so crazy.
So they want us to believe this struggle rapper from the West Coast called RBX was able to fund millions of dollars in investigative research by himself to uncover Drake's back-end stream data that was able to use.
Again, guys, this dude doesn't understand that attorneys will take cases all the time without taking initial payment up front. But best believe they're going to get paid. It's just going to be a cut at the end from the court winnings. And a lot of times it can go up to as high as 50%.
Geomapping to prove that Drake is buying billions of streams each and every month. And because of this, he wants Spotify to compensate him, because Drake buying streams is the reason why him and his struggle buddies are now successful rappers in the streaming era.
And this dude obviously doesn't have his facts in order. At the end of the day, that lawsuit is not for that. One of their big claims is that Spotify is looking the other way when it comes to those streams, which I can tell you really isn't the case. At the end of the day, they do not want to pay anybody for any of these botted streams. That's money that they don't want to pay out. Why would you want to pay for a stream that was botted and isn't actually potentially listening to the ads and stuff that actually support the platform? So of course they don't want to pay for that stuff. And they've definitely been really adamant, and you can see that they are removing botted playlists literally on a daily.
I'm going to tell y'all this, man. First off, he don't got the millions of dollars to fund this, bro.
He don't need to have the millions.
UMG is who funded the research. UMG is who had access to that information. UMG is part owners in Spotify, which is why they only got Spotify data. They don't got Apple Music data.
So why would UMG fund a lawsuit on a company that they have a stake in? Your narrative is already being torpedoed, and you're the one doing it.
Or anywhere else. Drake filed 30 motions in an
God, I could smell the halitosis through the screen.
Eastern District of New York to get the same information they got about Kendrick Lamar. They denied it. UMG are the only ones who had this information. They gave it to them lawyers. They gave it to this West Coast jigaboo, right, called RBX.
You are an ass clown, my friend. At the end of the day, they don't need any of that from UMG anyway, because there are so many sources out there that will willingly give this up for a potential bag of their own.
And they're using him, as they've always done for the last 50 years, to destroy and attack people of the culture. This is just another example of the West Coast selling us.
I don't know if you really want to word it that way and call Drake a person of the culture, when probably the biggest moniker he's carried around for over the last 5 years has been that he's a culture vulture.
So, this lawsuit is not going anywhere.
This guy says us like he's part of the culture as well.
He's not winning this lawsuit. He took the butter biscuits to be the leader of this, okay? It's no coincidence, okay? A dude named RBX, who's the cousin of Snoop Dogg, associates of Kendrick Lamar, is the one who signed up. This lawsuit is to destroy Drake's legacy, is to destroy Drake's credibility.
First of all, the only connection that you could really make between Snoop and Kendrick Lamar are the fact that they are West Coast artists. And it's not as if Snoop didn't post Tailor-Made, guys. Obviously, this guy's narrative is BS.
Ability is to take away the only thing Drake really got left, which is his accolades. If you could slander him enough to prove, yo, these accolades.
If all you have to identify yourself is accolades, it's numbers, man, it's only a matter of time before that's shattered, whether it's a lawsuit or something else down the line. You don't want numbers to be your identity. You want it to be the quality of your music. If all you can say about your music is that you're getting the highest numbers, man, and you've already come out and say that botting is a thing, why would people actually look at those numbers and actually believe in those numbers? It truly doesn't make any sense.
Place is bought out. You can destroy Drake at this point, right? Because Drake got nothing else left but those accolades. West Coast, man, y'all do better, bro.
Terrible,
all right?
This is coming from a guy that actually lives in the West Coast right now, even though, if I'm not mistaken, he's actually from Philly and lived in Nebraska for a little bit. This guy knows nothing of the culture to be speaking on the culture. And this lawsuit definitely didn't expose anything, at least anything having to do with Kendrick or the West Coast. But like I've said many times before, guys, these aren't people that lead their lives with facts, man. And this guy is too dense to understand that he literally torpedoed his own argument halfway through the video. And Flacco, I know you've probably talked to an attorney before. For you not to know that these lawyers will take cases without getting paid up front, man, just makes that narrative sound even more irrational. Alrighty, guys, let's look at some of those excerpts from those documents. So you have them over here. This post is actually captioned. Every month, under Spotify's watchful eye, billions of fraudulent streams are generated from fake, illegitimate, or other illegal methods, e.g. bots. And yeah, they've also been pretty adamant that they're trying to crack down on that because, yeah, they do not want to pay for these streams because it's not actual people that they can monetize. But while the streaming fraud with respect to Drake songs may be one example, it does not stand alone. Collins for Spotify USA claims Drake's music is artificially botted. And this wasn't just invented for this lawsuit. These type of rumors and allegations have followed him for quite some time now. I want to say since at least Scorpion. All right. Here we have the first excerpt. Music streams of Drake's music is artificially boosted by bots. Drake is a well-known singer-songwriter whose music is available for streaming on Spotify. In fact, Drake is purportedly the most streamed artist of all time on the platform. And another major reason was that, yeah, streaming was not a thing when MJ was out. Streaming was not a thing when the Beatles were out. And with the way people consume media now, it should be obvious that the newer acts dropping stuff now are going to get more streams than records that have been out for like 30, 40 years. Alrighty, in September 2025, Drake became the first artist to nominally achieve 120 billion total streams on Spotify. However, on Information and Belief, there is voluminous information of which Spotify knows or should know, showing that between January 2022 and September 2025, a substantial non-trivial percentage of Drake's 37 billion streams on Spotify during that time frame were inauthentic and appeared to be the work of a sprawling network of bot accounts. And it's really hard to believe that no botting was done. Again, like I said before, a lot of these artists do get preferential treatment not only on Spotify, but they also have access to these major streaming farms. And we've also seen a lot of these major artists actually post on their IG stories how to go about doing some of these things, because it's not just bots from a streaming farm. They'll also have their fans go and create these playlists, put that record on like 20, 30 times and just play it repeatedly overnight at a very low volume, which is actually the caveat. You actually need to hear the music for it to actually count, because having muted streams aren't going to count towards your streams. The plaintiff is informed and believes that an examination of Drake's music streams reveals abnormal VPN seemingly designed to obscure the true geographic origins of the bot accounts that were streaming his songs. And whether they're from India or China, it almost shouldn't be a surprise to anyone if it is found out that there is an abnormal amount of streams from those two countries. For example, plaintiff is informed and believes that over a 4-day period in 2024, at least 250,000 streams of Drake's song No Face originated in Turkey. And if you guys don't remember, I actually covered this. And if you guys didn't watch that video, over in Turkey, I want to say a few months ago, some major record labels over in Turkey were raided, and this could be in connection to that, who knows, but were falsely geomapped through the coordinated use of VPNs to the UK in an attempt to obscure their origins. Further, plaintiff is informed and believes that a large percentage of the accounts streaming Drake's music were geographically concentrated around areas whose populations could not support the volume of streams emanating therefrom. In some cases, massive amounts of music streams, more than 100 million streams, originated in areas with zero residential addresses, which could obviously be some random streaming farm in some random warehouse district. All right, here's another excerpt. Moreover, plaintiff is informed and believes that geohash data shows that nearly 10% of Drake streams come from users whose location data showed that they traveled a minimum of 15,000 kilometers in a month, moved unreasonable locations between songs, and that is crazy because more than likely, a lot of these companies are using the cheaper VPNs because it'll probably get really expensive to use the more consistent ones. Consecutive plays separated by mere seconds but spanning thousands of kilometers, including more than 500 kilometers between songs, roughly the distance from New York City to Pittsburgh, guys. And again, the 10% makes sense. People aren't botting 50% of their streams. It's just not worth it. And honestly, it's going to get found out really quick when you can't sell tickets. And we actually see that quite frequently because you could allegedly look at somebody like Ice Spice and assume that's the case with her stuff. Also, plaintiff is informed and believes that between January 2022 and September 2025, the volume and the timing of the music streams for Drake's music failed to follow typical established streaming patterns. While most songs and/or albums see an initial spike in streaming immediately upon release, those same songs/albums typically follow a predictable decay pattern over the following months. Most of the time, obviously, there's stuff that just randomly goes viral. However, in many instances, the streams of Drake's music on Spotify saw significant and irregular uptick months and in some years after the release of his songs, with no reasonable explanations for those upticks other than streaming fraud. And you can't say that because, yeah, at the end of the day, the songs do go viral on like TikTok. I mean, we're seeing songs by Kid Cudi now actually chart after never charting over 20 years. This is still very fishy for Drake because, again, these things have been said about his music for quite some time. In other instances, Drake's decay rate was slower and less dramatic when compared to those of his contemporaries. Additionally, the number of streams of Drake's music attributable to individual accounts is staggering and irregular. For instance, plaintiff is informed and believes that while the average Spotify listener listens to 10 songs per day, a massive amount of the accounts listening to Drake's music listen excessively to Drake's music for 23 hours a day. Guys, that may be Club Paradise. But all jokes aside, man, no one is listening to 23 hours of music a day, man. Other than maybe a Cult of the Ovihoites member. Alrighty. Here's the next excerpt. Plaintiff is informed and believes that streaming data of Drake's music shows that less than 2% of his users accounts for roughly 15% of his overall streams, and that is very, very high, are attributable to less than 1% of his users. As a result, Drake's music accumulated far higher total streams compared to other highly streamed artists, even though those artists had far more users than Drake. As a result of the fraudulent streaming scheme described above, with respect to Drake's music, the rights holders of Drake's music, Drake and his company, Frozen Moments LLC, saw their shares of the revenue pool substantially and artificially increase. This generated significant revenues for Drake and Frozen Moments LLC, all at the expense of other rights holders whose shares and revenues were greatly diminished. The amount of streaming revenue that would otherwise have been distributed to legitimate rights holders, but for the fraudulent boosting of Drake's music, estimated to be in the hundreds of millions of dollars. So they're obviously looking to get a piece of that pie that was paid out to Drake, citing the fact that those were bought as streams. He shouldn't have gotten that money, and that should have been dispersed to the other artists. But I don't think that would actually happen at the end of the day, with the more likely outcome being that Spotify just keeps all that money. Spotify knew or should have known about the anomalies described above had Spotify employed reasonable detection measures. And they have been really diligent over the past few years of actually doing this. These artificial and inauthentic streams were readily identifiable to Spotify in light of their statistically improbable. Obviously, it goes on further, but before we move on, yeah, they can definitely detect most botted streams, guys. And they've also been taking down a lot of these botted streams, at least from the official counts of those records. But to date, Spotify has never properly addressed the millions, if not billions, of fraudulent and artificial music streams attributed to Drake's music. And they pretty much handle all that in-house, guys. And the ill-gotten revenues from those streams have never been properly distributed among the legitimate right holders to whom the revenue is properly owed. And like I just said, guys, I don't think that revenue would be going to other artists. Spotify would more than likely claim all that stuff, just like YouTube would do. Guess what? If you get demonetized, they're still going to put ads on there. You're just not going to get paid any money. They're going to be making all that money on their own. And after reading all this, I don't know how Poetic Flacco could connect Kendrick Lamar and the West Coast to this at all. If he is trying to claim that UMG is doing all this, why would they file a lawsuit on a company they own a piece of. It makes no sense in the world. Obviously, the man does no research of his own. And a lot of these people that speak so confidently about the industry, man, it just makes me laugh because every time I hear him, I hear a person that truly knows nothing. Because a lot of the things that these guys are surprised about are honestly things that aren't that much of a secret in the industry. Because if botting surprises you or preferential treatment on these playlists surprise you, man, then I don't know what industry you claim to know so much, because it's definitely not the music industry. But definitely let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think that Kendrick Lamar and the West Coast sold us out to the white man, or do you think that UMG is behind all this? I honestly don't think so. And again, it's not like these claims haven't been laid against Drake for a very long time. But definitely let me know what you guys think. Definitely hit the like and subscribe button, guys. It does the channel wonders. I really want to thank you guys so much for continuing to make this channel a part of your day. It honestly means the world to me, and all the love and support that you guys continue showing this channel on a daily is honestly overwhelming, and probably the biggest reason why I make these videos. So I definitely want to let you guys know how grateful I am for all your support. I also want to give a huge shout out to all those that have been joining YouTube memberships. Small way to support the channel, but definitely goes a very long way in helping out. And also a very big super thank you to all those that have been sending super thanks, because guys, it has been tremendous. I want to personally send out a major shout out to Renee for 2 more awesome super thank yous. I truly want to let you know how much I do appreciate your support. It means the world to me, and you always add so much to the dialogues. So I'm definitely looking forward to your takes on this, guys, even though I'm pretty sure I know which way you guys are going to be leaning towards. Hope you guys love this video, and I hope to see you guys soon. And these claims would not surprise me, but Kendrick Lamar has nothing to do with this.